Hey everyone, Coach and Hoka One One athlete Sage Canaday here with Training Talk number 2 in our Training Talk Tuesday series. Sorry I got this out a little bit late. It's still Tuesday here in Colorado in the US, but thanks so much to all of you that submitted all these great questions. There are so many wonderful questions. I really like the engagement. Hope you're doing well. We're going to go with the top voted question and dive right in here because I want to make sure to answer this thoroughly. But there's a great question. The question was, top voted question. Thanks to all those that voted as well. Question for the Training Talk. How can you tell the difference between being tired from your workouts versus overtraining, basically? I think what we were getting at. So kind of the idea that you're training for a race. Maybe you have, hopefully several weeks, if not several months, and maybe a higher running training program or something. And this could be, any distance race. It could be the 800 or the mile, 800 meters or a 1500. It could be a marathon or an ultra marathon or, 5K, 10K, half marathon. The principle is kind of the same. And I think most people worry is that if you overextend yourself, if you overtrain, you do too much than what your body could handle at that time, then you'll come out on race day and you'll run a subpar race. You won't qualify for Boston, or you won't meet your time goal. You might run quite a bit slower than what you thought you could run, or slower than what you have run in the past. And that's a big disappointment, and that's something that I've suffered with at times during my 20 plus competitive running career at any surface, any distance. So it's a legitimate concern. And to answer the question right off the bat, it's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell sometimes. There's a very fine line between riding that overtraining train and pushing yourself to an optimal level where you're challenging yourself and you're challenging your body to adapt to a new stress. And sometimes that's a really fine line that's easy to cross and you won't know till it's too late. But there are some ways, there are some key metrics and symptoms, so to speak, overtraining symptoms that we'll get into that could alert you to that. And then some other strategies that I've worked with athletes and then also through my own career in trying to recognize that before it happens. So let's dive in. The first thing is when people get injured, that's basically a form of overtraining, right? If you have an overuse injury, be it a muscle strain or a tendon strain or something from doing too high mileage too fast or doing too fast of easy days or doing too much speed work too fast, a lot of times people get really, really sore. They might start getting micro tears in their muscle fibers and you get, really bad tendinitis. It's an injury. If it's serious enough, it could take you out, stress fracture, and totally derail your training plan. So a lot of people, I don't think, realize that an injury like that is actually a sign that you were overtraining. It was just you were doing more stress than what your body could handle at that time. And of course, the goal in the future is hopefully you could recover from that and get stronger and be able to progressively build on that and not get injured and be able to stay healthy. And then you've reached a new level of fitness in the sport. The other signs would be classic overtraining types of symptoms. Now, what are those? Well, sometimes you'll have trouble sleeping, falling asleep at night. You could feel exhausted, very physically exhausted, emotionally drained. You feel like you've been training hard, you're at peak mileage, you're smashing workouts, things are going well, but then you have this really bad insomnia and you're having trouble falling asleep at night. And it's kind of ironic because usually when you think you're super tired, you'll hit the pillow and be able to sleep really well. But when you're overtraining, that's a sign of overtraining is sometimes you really have trouble falling asleep at night and you're not sleeping very soundly, which of course makes things kind of worse because you're not getting as much high quality sleep probably then to recover from your hard workouts. The other one, and people have mentioned this, was heart rate. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of heart rate metrics. I do wear a heart rate strap all the time, but I realize a lot of people, you're gonna get errors in heart rate reading unless you count it really specifically, like resting heart rate in the morning when you wake up and you keep detailed logs and track of it. If you have an elevated morning heart rate right after you wake up, that could be a sign. But again, I would check that one manually actually. And if you have a sensor, realize there's a lot of errors with heart rate sensors, especially wrist-based straps. A lot of people also don't know their true 100% maximum heart rate. It's actually a pretty hard value to get accurately. The best way to do would be in a lab at doing a VO2 max test. you could be pushing really hard and think you're going 100%, but to progressively get your heart rate up to 100% is pretty hard. So unless you have a lot of relative numbers with the heart rate data, that one could be harder to tell also. There's other metrics that you could get into with, like, one of my sponsors, Athlete Blood Test. Enter this code for a discount. There's a sponsor plug. You could do a thorough blood test analysis, make sure you're not deficient on anything, right? If you get low on iron, or you're low on folate or B12, something like that, magnesium, that could really throw your body off, and it might just be a simple nutritional type of fix. But, you know, getting your checked out by a doctor, not a bad idea. Professional opinion there. And the things that lead to overtraining, besides just the running mileage, right? If you look at your training log, that's one of my other final tips here. Look at your training log and realize that you don't want to do anything too drastic too quickly. Well, the number one mistake is people get eager. They want to get in really good shape for their big race, and they'll jump up their mileage more than 10 or 15, 20% all at once. And they don't give themselves the weeks and months it takes to maybe adapt to that higher mileage level. So look at your relative mileage totals, training logs, workouts you've done in the past, and don't change too many variables, be it speed or distance, long run distance, too fast, right? Give your body some time. There's always some lag time there. And like I said, it's about doing what your body could handle at that time and pushing it at an optimal level so that you don't break, you don't overtrain, but it will be challenging. And, you know, a lot of these things are tricky to separate from feeling regular tired versus, and why you're feeling tired or overtrained, versus optimal training and being exhausted from doing high quality workouts or the highest mileage you've ever done. And like I said, it's a fine line, and there's other factors that are usually involved with this. So the other perspective, I guess, in closing here, is that there's a lot of life stress usually involved. With subjective feelings of fatigue and being tired, right? If you're not sleeping well at night, that could be the thing that really does you in, right? If you have to wake up early for work or school or family obligations, you have all these extra life stresses on top of your running. So the running is just one little small thing of your day, and you're working hard with that. But if you're not hydrating correctly, if you're not eating soundly, eating enough calories, but also eating enough nutrients and eating healthy, you're gonna feel a lot worse a lot of the time. And then, you know, with other stresses in your life, be it from work or, you know, family obligations. I know you guys are busy people. You know, you could have all sorts of pressures and deadlines that aren't even related to running that overlap into your running, because it's all integrated together. And so try to step back and see your life stress and other things going on in your life, and realize that could be a huge factor into why you're feeling tired or just mentally drained, right? There's a lot of overlap with the mental and physical fatigue, so to speak. And so if mentally you're out of it, it might be hard to push through a workout, or it might be hard to mentally motivate yourself to push really hard during a race. I know I have that problem sometimes as well. So it's a very common theme, but I think that in closing, you should feel some fatigue and be tired going into some workouts, and that's part of the training plan. At least at our higherrunning.com training plans that Coach Sandy and I make, especially the marathon and ultramarathon plans, they're designed for you to be going into your weekend long run not feeling fresh and spring like a daisy, right? There should be a certain level of fatigue, and you might have some general stiff-leggedness, some general soreness. That's okay. That would be normal. It's the sharper injuries and the things that alter your running form that are more concerning. If you have a couple subpar workouts, you feel really tired for a couple weeks, but you rest up and overcome that, that's a perfectly normal type of training response, and something that hopefully you could even race better off of. I always say, like, it's better to hit a workout and kind of be slightly subpar than to always be smashing your workouts and going 110% or trying to go 110%. Because sometimes when you do all your workouts too hard, your race actually suffers. And if you're just more consistent, you have some rough workouts, but you roll through them, you get the volume in, you take your easy days easy, that's usually the better recipe for more consistent long-term racing and racing well. And it keeps you kind of mentally fresh too, because you didn't push yourself all out in what would be a tempo run or a workout or an interval session. You saved all that energy for race day. And when you taper, hopefully that's what really freshens you up, right? So you know, there is a certain stress with training, and like I said, it's a fine line, it's a delicate balance, and at times you're probably going to doubt yourself. But as long as it's not going to be like a serious injury or something that'll really set you back, you know, if you could rest up, evaluate your life stresses, and you know, overcome that, you'll come out stronger. You'll super compensate, so to speak, and yeah, don't limit yourself mentally either. So that's my talk on trying to recognize overtraining symptoms versus just normal fatigue. There's going to be fatigue. It's distance running. It's going to happen. There's definitely going to be a lot of days where it's tough to get out the door, but you push through that, and it's a great, rewarding sport. Thank you so much to all the Patreon supporters for really making this channel possible. Thanks to title sponsor Hoka One One. Keeping the dream alive. Got more updates for you. Racing any service, any distance. You know me. Thanks to all those that submitted questions. Again, submit questions and comments below this video for next week's Training Talk Tuesday, and the top voted one will be the one I answer. Thank you so much. Hope you're doing well, and stay tuned for more VO2 Max Productions.